here on out, it's going to be
Yep.
on or off
Yeah.
air. Well, you know, one of the things, what he's talking about, when he's talking about clearance code, Susan, when they finish a call and they have to categorize it, we now have a new categorization for e-bikes where we didn't have one before.
Right, wasn't
So when they-
everything thrown into
Bicycle.
one?
It was thrown into bicycle. Now they can keep the stats on e-bike crashes. So a lot of data
Our
coming
team
out.
of skilled craft chefs take pride
Is
in
it sound
providing
too?
high-quality meats, fresh
Do
produce,
you have
and healthy
Yes,
control?
it's not working.
specialty items such as sommelier selected wines
No?
and Florida craft beers. Chop Shop Artisan Butcher, St. Augustine's Butcher
I can
Shop
just hear
and Market on
static.
Anastasia Island at
What about-
Silverwood.
oh, well, you don't use it.
Chop Shop
No, I don't use it.
Oh, then I'll use it.
You don't really need them.
No.
No, she needs them. Though.
That was the old Chris Phillip days. I always had it on.
Yeah. No, this is my music back in my day, right?
I love it.
Good morning and welcome in to the St. Johns County Morning News. I am your host, Susan Johnson. You are listening to WFOY 102.1 FM, 1240 AM. You could be on our website at 1021news.com, or you could be watching and listening on our Facebook page, which is WFOY Radio St. Augustine. And I do always encourage people to head over to our Facebook page because you can participate in this show, you can ask questions, you can make comments. And I have two guests who you can see. You may want to start a little conversation with. I wore, as you can see, my Junior Ranger badge to fit in with all the badge
I'm going to give you
bling.
something better before I leave here.
Would you please?
Yes,
Thank
ma'am.
you.
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
This was the best I could do. But we're going to talk with...
That's pretty good.
Thank you. Sheriff Rob Hardwick and County Commissioner and Chair Clay Murphy. And I think
Good
our
morning.
focus is going to be on e-bikes. I had a whole little list, I saw the fights. I just want to give a shout out to all the fighters before we get going.
Yeah, thank you.
And their training was, they gave up time, family time,
Sure.
took a lot of hits
Yes, ma'am.
for our community. And I just want to shout out to Christian Rios and
Our IT
Derek
guy.
Povia.
Yeah, Derek Povey, our firefighter from St. Helens County Fire Rescue. Just everybody was amazing, but it was more than just a boxing match. It was a time to bring our community together that him and I grew up in, and our families who are here. I know all those fighters, and it was just a special night. And the crowd was, we had almost 3,000 people in the crowd, and they were all mostly locals. It just was a great feeling. But thank you for giving us a shout out.
It was awesome, and to see them come out, they
know,
did their
yes.
thing. They were
Yeah.
great.
That's why my voice is gone. I'm not sick, Mr. Chair. Yeah, I'm just I lost my voice about in the very beginning.
Yeah. So we want to talk about e-bikes. There's a lot going on, although we don't always hear about it. We sit back and think, well, what are they doing? What are they doing? So you've been doing a lot.
Yeah. So last summer, we had a couple of e-bike crashes that were tragedies in St. Johns County, and so. One of the things that I want to give credit to is give credit to the sheriff and the sheriff's offices. They took the ball and ran with it, and were able to put in a e-bike safety curriculum in our middle school, 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. And that's class. It's a mandatory class every year, and it's already been done for our entire middle school. All 6th, 7th, 8th grades in the county was done in the fall last year in this school year in the fall. So they've already gone to mandatory training for e-bikes, and as we progress year over year, we'll add 6th grade in the incoming 6th grade class. We'll get the class from now going forward. But one of the things that I'm probably more excited about, having a law enforcement background, is the enforcement efforts of the sheriff's office, because they not only took the ball on the educational component, which we were going to jump in and work on, and they're like, no, we're ready to go. So thank you, but also the enforcement side. I've dug out my old motocross helmet and trying to get all the dirt off.
You're
of
welcome
it
anytime, sir.
From the
You're welcome
40
anytime.
years ago since I won it. But
Well, you've been
they actually have a dirt bike squad that actually allows them to do enforcement on e-bikes when they decide not to hang around. So it's exciting time.
Yes, ma'am.
That's awesome,
Yeah.
because enforcement is a big component of
It
this.
is. Education and enforcement is probably
Yeah.
the most important.
And that, I was going to say, you were talking about that a few months back, about that kind of three-tiered education, enforcement, and outreach. And it seems like that happened pretty quickly, instituting that in the schools, from the talking stage to the institution.
Well, let me just add this before I kind of give you the floor on this because you're the expert. But we engaged with the University of South Florida. The DOT funds a motorcycle safety group out of the University of South Florida, and we called them and said, how do we do this? And through meetings with the University of South Florida, at the end of our time together, on screen, we're in a Zoom meeting, and the lady that's in charge of the program said she's never seen a government come together and work so fast to put something in schools. And so I commend the sheriff and the men and women of the sheriff's office for taking the lead on this,
Yes, sir.
and for really getting it done. So
Sure.
thank you.
But I got to say this too, Mr. Chair. I know you're being humble about this too, but it was him too as well. Maybe last year, he brought some experts, into the actual, somewhere on the Zoom call with us when we met at the Board of County Commissioners meeting and discussed these things about education and outreach and enforcement and where we were going with this. This was over a year ago. We sat there at a table together.
Mm-hmm.
So again, with our partnership relationship, and Mr. Chair knows this too as well, we got a great relationship, great thing going on in St. Johns County with all our government entities, and whether they're a for-profit or non-profit. But the key was, of course, is that we were trying to see what this bill was going to do. People trying to, force this thing on the county commission, do something with the ordinance. I mean, we kind of wait and see what goes on because this was an ever-evolving of things literally in motion. It's a one wheel, it's a two wheel, it goes 28 miles an hour, it goes 60 miles an hour. So we took what we actually knew. Education was a big thing, as Mr. Chair said. The school district allowed us on Peach Jar, which is like, that allows them to speak to all their kids and their parents in the school district. They allowed us right before the summertime break last year to go into Peach Jar, put out a public, basically announcement, saying, hey, this is what we're going to enforce over the summertime. As Mr. Chair just said, we took a very, proactive and aggressive approach over the summertime to, number one, educate. And also to hold parents accountable, reaching out to the parents.
That's such a big thing. As I was
Have to
reading
agree.
through my research,
Sure.
I'm checking off things as a parent myself.
Yes, ma'am.
A pretty strict parent, honestly.
You did well. You did well.
Yeah, you did well. You got some good boys.
You got some
I
good
do,
voice.
thank you. But I'm looking at it thinking, okay, this is a parental issue.
Yes,
This
ma'am.
is a parental issue.
Yes,
but
ma'am.
how do you engage parents in seeing that a lot of this is happens in the home?
Well, I think one thing, is that we in the St. Johns County Sheriff's Office, when we make contact with a kid basically on an e-bike or any type of bicycle, I should say, we make contact with the parents and let the parents either come get them or educate them. And we have, majority of the time, I would say, and I'm going to say 90% of the time, we have total compliance by the parents. They take ownership in that. But you have that small percentage of society, just like you do with the criminal element. I hate to use those two, but in comparison, it's a very, very small percentage. But again, so going back, Peach Jar, we went into the summertime, our motor unit, I know he's a fellow motor guy, but we took our motor unit and
Knuckle dragger.
and pushed them up. They are a different breed. We pushed them up in the Nocatee area, Julington Creek area, where most of our, population and our complaints were coming in at.
Yeah.
And we did education and enforcement up there. In the meantime, what we did is, again, we had, three, as the commission, as Mr. Chair said, we went into the summertime break with 2 or 3 kids that were in severe, critical, recovery of e-bike incidents and accidents. And some of those involved, of course, were a car or an Amazon truck or a UPS truck, but all the actually evidence showed it was actually on the person, on the child riding the bike.
Okay.
So again, we sat down in a meeting. He was there. He was the one that actually, spearheaded it. We sat down with our partnerships as Brendan Aston was just taking over, and we said, hey, what can we do? And they were all in. And as the chair said, we created a 45-minute mandatory. It's done during PE. And then the school district, and of course with Mr. Chair there too, they said, hey, we will get this done in the first quarter. Let's educate these kids.
Yeah.
We're trying to save lives. by
That's
the way.
already happened. So
Sure, it's been phenomenal.
we're excited.
6,
And
7,
what
8
is
grants.
the age group where the most accidents happen? Is it like 11 to 14, 15? Or?
So here's the problem. Up until last year, and he knows this too from his FHP days, these were not reported properly, meaning the antiquated codes that we had through the state system on what they call our long form and our short form for traffic crashes only had PED, which is pedestrians, and bicycles. They didn't have e-bikes. So we didn't have a real good database. And here's the other problem too. The hospitals really weren't reporting of what the actual incident, of what the mechanism was that was causing the incident. Now, everybody's on this. It almost took like 6 months of last year to get on the same sheet of music. So now we are reporting. And as Mr. Chair said right before we went live, is, we had to create our own clearance code. So if a officer pulls you over and wants to clear it out, is giving you a traffic ticket, there's a clearance code for, Susan got a traffic ticket. There's a code or to clear it out. We had to do the same thing for e-bike violations, and we did it about 6 months into the year last year. So now we have real data on all e-bike violations. Here's the other thing, and I'll kind of stop for this, and I don't want to take all the time, but there's 3 classes of e-bikes. It's very confusing, class 1, 2, and 3. He will tell you this as a longtime law enforcement officer. It's already hard enough for our deputy sheriffs, our troopers, our police officers to actually go through the Florida State statute book, take what lawyers have written through Congress, and then take that and put it into plain, terms per se. Mm-hmm. That's difficult for us to do. And then you have what they call e-motos. It is a dirt bike. It's over 700 watts. It equals a 250 cc dirt bike gas engine. So what we saw was that same problem on these e-motos, e-motocross bikes. So we, as Mr. Chair said, I had enough. These kids were running from us. They were going in the woods. I mean, our bicycle patrol can't keep up with, a dirt bike doing 70 miles an hour, by the way, up to 60 miles an hour.
What?
Yes, ma'am. E-moto, 60 miles an hour. Yes, ma'am. And so, and those are fixed pedals. It's a dirt bike with a battery on steroids. So
now, are these considered modified bikes? Are these
they buy them as an e-moto motocross bike. We bought 8 ourselves to enforce. So we put all, like he said, we put all of our task force deputy sheriffs and some of the other deputies through a motocross school. And then now they're up in Nocatee enforcing that, and we've seen a severe reduction. I mean, a very, very significant reduction in the amount of kids. They were running from us on dirt bikes.
Yeah.
And you couldn't catch them. You couldn't.
We can now. We're getting out very quick. Yeah.
So that's kind of when people are listening, maybe thinking, well, it's taking a long time to address this. These are part of the components of why it seems to be taking a long time.
Yeah.
But in actuality, you guys are all working together, and it's not taking that long in the scheme of things.
Well, I think, first of all, as Mr. Chair knows this, because him and I are both in Tallahassee quite a bit, bills don't get passed overnight. And thousands, I'm talking 10,000 bills are filed a year, and only hundreds are actually put into law. So that being said, and then, by the way, as Mr. Chair said before we went live, after the bill is passed, put into law, and then it's July next year, or it could be even January next year, these e-bikes are going to change in the next year. The manufacturers continue to change them. As you know, we just had an adult male die on a one-wheel vehicle in Nocatee, riding through some wooded trails. I mean, these are ever evolving. I mean, the chemicals, I say, because it's a chemical complex. It changes every day, and then the law's no good. We got to rewrite it again.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, it's a constant process, and especially going through the state. What they're going to do is they have people that add and subtract things from the bill as it passes through committees, and so we really have a full-time job keeping up with what the state wants to do. And some people were critical. They're like, well, you just need to pass an ordinance. Well, state law supersedes ordinances. So what we really want to do is see what the state does. And then we'll come in after that and kind of fill in the cracks for what's missing when it comes to ordinance. But the sheriff and I agree in this, and I don't want to speak for you, so I just want to say this real quick, is that we think personal responsibility is critical in a safe and secure community, and people have to take responsibility for their own actions. Now, we can legislate, but that's not going to keep somebody from getting hurt. What's going to keep somebody from getting hurt is them applying these educational and these enforcement pressures and these outreach pressures to change their behavior. We have to change their behavior, and we can't do it in Tallahassee. We have to do it from the back of a patrol car with blue lights on sometimes, and sometimes that's the only way to literally change behavior. Oh, I got pulled over, and now I know that if I get this ticket at 14, a moving violation, and I'm found guilty, I won't be able to get my driver's license at 16.
Right.
So there are laws in place, and we need to continue to do the outreach, the education and the outreach and the enforcement part.
And I'm just going to stop you right there because we're heading to break. We'll break for about 5 minutes, and we will be back.
Yeah, good stuff, brother.
Great stuff.
Yeah, I appreciate
it's you look at these, and actually, and on this too, because it shows, we had actually 1 death on here for 2026. And unfortunately, that's because originally the 12-year-old up there in front of POA, that was classified as an e-bike before we knew. Not really we knew, before we released it out there. I mean, but you look back at this stuff too as well. And this kid actually leaves school, goes home, does the right thing. I mean, puts a helmet on. We all did. We had dirt bikes and 4-wheelers and we were
Mini
kids.
bikes.
Yeah, and I hate the fact that this is a family that's mourning. You got a twin brother that's mourning, a twin child that's mourning the loss of his sibling, and then you got a 17-year-old boy. He's a boy that's driving the other car, who it appears now, based on, of course, crush factor and reconstruction and stuff like that. He was just driving, and it's like I hate it. But the other thing too, when you have a parent buy a motocross bike that goes 60 miles an hour, I did the same thing for my boys. He did. I know his boys very well. That's was part of growing up.
Yeah.
But we rode on trails in the Ocala National Forest. We rode at PAX tracks down in Bunnell, in our hunting club.
Yeah.
We didn't
Totally
ride. I didn't have my
different.
kids riding out on a sidewalk on a motocross bike.
We're not riding down US 1.
Not riding down the US one. No. But I what's worked with us is you make that phone call. I pull over. Connor Murphy, and I call his dad on the phone, and probably not his dad, probably Miss Pam on the phone, and I say, "Hey, we got your son. He's being disrespectful."
Don't call me.
Yeah, he's being disrespectful, and he was doing 45 on the sidewalk, and him and his buddies were, that's all. Most parents go, hold him right there. The other day we had a parent say, tow his bike. We physically called it a wrecker. It's there's social media post on it. We called a wrecker and towed his bike per the parents, and it said, when you can afford to get it out of hock, you can go get it.
There you go.
Yeah.
You just gotta set the example sometimes.
But just to let you know, he didn't stop Connor.
No, that was an example. He actually's got good kids. I had the privilege of coaching him, so he's got good kids.
Well, even good kids, let me just say, even good kids can slip.
Our kids.
Listen, I thought I was a good kid, but I was also a boy too.
Yeah, I remember getting chased around in Palatka when I was 11 years old on my dirt bike from the police in Palatka. And it's like, taught me a lesson.
Yeah.
Here I am, 50, 60 years later, having 39 years in law enforcement. So,
Yeah, it's kind of crazy.
You
The Mr. Chair brings something different to the commission on the dais, and not that he's any better than anybody else, but it's so hard to sit there as a commission because, as you know, our budget is approved through him. Pretty much everything else is kind of autonomous. But anyways, when you get up there and you look at this budget, it's hard to say, go through a budget for law enforcement and go, why does this guy have a $139 million budget? Of course, he knows from owning a business, a successful business, and then pay him, but 80% goes to, benefits and salary. But the
Which
other
is
20% is like, where's it going to? Well, in the big scheme of things, 20% on a $139 million budget for this massive county is not really.
Yeah.
But again, that's one of those things too as well. It's nice to have someone there. And you talk about e-bikes. Again, not that they're ignorant, because those commissioners are good to Rob Hardwick in the sheriff's office.
Yeah.
But he's like, wait a minute, yeah. I mean, he understands. And when you talk about that dirt bike the other day that had the gas powered to Tempson engine in there, we all know what that was.
Yeah, it's a mini bike.
It's a mini bike. Yeah.
See, I don't know.
Right. And that's what. But everybody's accusing us of not enforcing e-bikes with this. It's not an e-bike.
Right.
It's a mini bike.
Yeah.
And
He's being a boy.
people too.
And just to let you know, my sister had one of those when she was 10 years
What?
old. My sister had one when she was 10. One of those. I think we got out of the JCPenney catalog where it's a Briggs and Stratton
Yes.
engine where you pull the handle.
Yes.
And the strap would break, and we'd have to take it apart and put the strap back on. But my sister rode a mini bike when she was 10 years old. So
And I think people still think of us as a small town, but
By far.
things have changed.
We're
There's
a
way
big-
too much
big
going
small
on out
town.
there.
We are. We're metropolitan Jacksonville. That's what I call it.
And we are back. You are listening to WFOY 102.1 FM, 1240 AM. You might be on our website at 1021news.com, or you could be watching and listening on our Facebook page, which is WFOY Radio St. Augustine. We are talking
we're
with
live.
County Commissioner Clay Murphy, County Commissioner and Chair, and Sheriff Rob Hardwick, and we're focusing on e-bikes. And I know, Sheriff, that you have to leave soon, so I want to
Sure.
give you the mic
Sure. Yes, ma'am.
because we have about 5 minutes before break, and I know you can fill those 5 minutes.
I know, my goodness, I can talk.
And
We
way
can both
more.
talk. Well, first of all, thanks for having us on this morning. And this is an ongoing conversation. It's a discussion. It's a two-way. It's a dialogue, with our community. Just like I told parents the other day when I was speaking at an event, I said, this is us working with you. This isn't us punishing you. Last thing our deputy sheriffs want to do, and Commissioner Murphy, Chairman Murphy knows this too, is give a 12-year-old, I say 12-year-old boy, you know what I'm saying, 12-year-old or 10-year-old boy a ticket from law enforcement. That's their first encounter, their interaction with law enforcement. So I think working with the school district, we're in the right direction. Under his spearheading this last year, let's get together, let's come up with a game plan. Let me bring in my experts I knew from my 39-year career in law enforcement. Let's get together and sit at the table and have those hard discussions. But if we did not have the relationships with the Board of County Commissioners, with the school district, in the St. Johns County Sheriff's Office, we would be sitting here all doing our, silo effect on this.
Yeah.
So, we look at the Florida State statute, and he knows this too, Mr. Chair does, is, listen, whatever comes out of this, I'm going to go back again next year. And State Rep Kendall, I know she's the co-signer on this, but I think we could, no disrespect, but you got to look at these things like we did with the golf cart statute. We changed that right here in St. Johns County 2 years ago from the 30,000-foot view. And you got to look and see how they do it in Naples and Miami and St. John's, and not just be silo effect or hyper-focused on your own community. So, again, educational piece. And as Chair said, and I know I'm getting a lot of heat on this, and I'm going to continue to do it. I'm going to continue to say it. It starts in the home.
Yeah.
It starts in education, enforcement, and outreach in your home.
Yeah.
And again, it's a small percentage. So I wish some of these parents would just, sit back a little bit and go, maybe it's probably not your child. It's probably that 5% or 2% of those 51,000 kids that are in our public schools that are just not doing the right thing. And then the other 1% is just boys and girls being boys and girls and having fun with their friends, but it's not the 60,000 people in St. Johns County anymore. It's getting close to 400,000.
Yes.
Our roads are busy. We have traffic all the time. People are always in a rush. I don't remember so much speeding going on in St. Johns County when I first started driving when I was in high school. I just don't remember it now. And I feel like everybody now is just in a rush. These cell phones are evil because you get on there and you have a meeting here at 8 o'clock and you're like, it takes me 7 minutes to get there. You leave at 7 minutes till.
And I got another one in Ponte Vedra at 10.
It's crazy. And I think we see that. Matter of fact, before I came here, I did 2 traffic stops with Deputy Shoemaker right up the street right here. You probably heard it. He probably passed it. There was a kid on right here on Lewis Point, just a foot on the gas, trying to make the red light all the way up at US 1. Mm-hmm. So again, but you add that element of a 2,000-pound vehicle with a young man, he's a high school kid, and then you throw in that with a bunch of kids on an e-bike minding their business, trying to get through a crosswalk. So again, we're going to continue to enforce, educate, outreach, have this relationship with the Board of County Commissioners. It's key to success. Have the relationship with Dr. Aspen, the superintendent of our school districts, and more importantly, have the relationship with these kids in school. And I'll kind of close with this. The school district has actually worked with us. There is no riding of anything electric, including not pedal-assisted things on any school property. So you'll see these kids as they get closer to the school and they get on that property before they get to the fence line, they get off and they walk whatever electric device or pedal-assisted device they have. So that's one relationship we have. And then also, too, I'm just going to echo it again. Mr. Chair, thank you for taking the lead and spearheading this and being a voice for St. Johns County. But more importantly, Dr. Aspen for allowing us, based on what he recommended as an expert that was on our Zoom call that day, and it's saying, hey, we're going to go ahead and do a mandatory 45-minute class. They allowed that to take away from the kids' curriculum for 6th, 7th, and 8th graders. But then, Chairman, why didn't you do the 4th graders? Well, it's a start in the right direction.
Yes.
And then using Peach Jar, which is their way of getting out to the kids and the families. So again, Susan, we appreciate you having me on. I apologize for leaving. It's day after fight night, so I got a heavy schedule today. As he knows, I got an event tonight, and this weekend too is our Tristan Bailey Foundation Gala, which is exciting. So I just want to say thank you for having us on there, and I appreciate you. And Mr. Chair, I got to tell you, on Open Air, live and everybody, you have been a great chairman up there with your support of first responders, and also your support of us that wear this uniform for a living. So I appreciate you, my friend, and I want to thank all 5 of those commissioners. Their goodness, Rob Hardwick and the St. Johns County Sheriff's Office. So everybody be safe, hold your kids accountable. Outreach, education starts in the home, and enforcement comes with the St. Johns County Sheriff's Office. So thank you for having me on.
Thank you, Sheriff.
Best to Kendall.
You too. Thank you.
If you have any influence with Kendall, I'd love to have her back to talk about Diamond.
Oh my God, she was so excited.
That's a great question.
We raised a lot of money for her last night. But I'll make that happen, Susan. I know somebody.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Sheriff.
Thank you. Okay, we're heading to break, but your timing is perfect, Sheriff.
Oh, thank you.
Be careful, bro.
Let's see, we will be back in about 5 or 6 minutes, and we'll continue our talk about e-bikes. So stay close. I do love that relationship that you know, all the agencies have with each other. I know it's not always symbiotic, but for the most part it is.
Well, I can tell you that we're spoiled rotten here in St. Johns County because we have such a good working relationship with our board, the school board, the airport authority board, the sheriff's office, the police department, the city of St. Augustine, the city of St. Augustine Beach. And I want to try to get to this in the next break, but the beach had an e-bike town hall last night at their city hall, and well attended, and it was a lot of good things were discussed, and so we'll touch base with that when we come back, if you don't mind.
No, it's your show for the next half hour.
All right, good.
Is there anything aside from e-bikes that you want to talk about, or do you want to keep going with that? Because I do have a few questions I didn't put out there to get questions.
Yeah.
Like I usually do. I do have a few.
Okay. Yeah. We'll keep right on going with that, at least for this next segment, and then maybe we'll open it up to whatever it is people want to know about.
And I think I'm just going to turn this up
Or less, or even for free. A New Jersey woman is suing after a dog mauled her child in Miami-Dade County. Larissa Mendoza says it happened in Miami Beach.
Okay.
So there won't be questions there. Let's see.
Well, you got questions on your
I do.
page, so we'll take whatever you want to talk about. We can talk about anything. We got a pretty busy schedule at the meeting next Tuesday. That's got a lot of things coming up, so maybe we'll discuss some of that.
I love that you're doing, and maybe I just missed it, but you're doing live stream as it happens now. Did that just start recently? Oh, good, because I've been able to watch them. Yeah. And it's it's great.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. It was on GTV, but there was a delay, and I don't think there's a delay anymore. So.
There isn't.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
It's awesome. And sometimes the videos wouldn't be up at all, and by the time they were, you forget about it. So this is great because you can see what's happening in real time. Yeah. I love it. Yeah. I get to see it.
You get to see the fun, exciting county commission meetings.
But it's interesting to see people's perspectives on things that are coming up. Yeah. And people's opinions, and like you said.
Yeah, people ask me all the time, how much does public opinion sway your vote? And, that's a really good question. If I could help the people of St. Johns County be more efficient with the way they communicate, I would just say that a lot of times, just stating your position, form letters, we talked about this before, I think form letters are not an effective means of communication.
And whenever
especially these long, rambling form letters that probably will never get read. To me, it's I'm for this, I'm against this, and it doesn't. There doesn't have to be a dissertation that comes behind it because.
I think of that all the time when I see people suggest, here's a link to the form letter, just sign it, and I always want to say, well, Commissioner Murphy says you will get more attention.
I learned this from Doug Wiles years ago. He was our state rep in District 20 for many years. Great guy. He told me, he says, one handwritten note means more than 1,000 form letters, and I've always remembered that. And when people write me at the county, I write them back.
You always answer emails. Yeah. Always.
Well, that's the fun part of the job is doing that. Sometimes it's a simple, thank you for your email, because I can't go into detail about how I feel about it because we haven't gone to the meeting yet. We haven't heard all the stuff. I can't write back how I personally feel about it, especially in an email that's public record, because then it could be used.
Like you said once, you could be held legally responsible if you respond in a certain way. It could be perceived as something.
If you show bias, then even in a personal email, I can't express that. So a lot of times when people send me emails and I just simply reply, thank you for your email, it's because of sensitive nature of the issue, and I can't express an opinion that can be written down on a piece of paper and then used in a court of law for one side or the other. So I hope people understand that I hear what they're saying, even if I don't go into long. And besides, a lot of times I've got 40, 50 emails that I have to get through, and so
we think everyone's like us, where we have 5 or 6 emails a day to answer. Well, why can't he answer me? Well, you've got like 50, 60 emails to go through,
it's
plus
crazy.
all the other stuff. Yeah. So.
Yeah, I was up at
it's
about
a different world.
I was up at about 11:30 last night, finishing up the emails, getting caught up for the day, and I got up this morning, and I've got about 5 or 6 already that I've got to get to this morning. So
Now, if sending your own little note is better than a form letter, is going in person better than a note?
I would never want to discourage someone for coming in person because it's their office. It's their office. If they want to come in, and sit down and take, because we do 30-minute blocks. If they want to come in and express their opinion for 30 minutes, I'm all for it. A lot of times, the staff will send me, well, do you want to set up a meeting with this person because they're asking for a meeting? I'm like, yeah, let's meet. Whatever we need to do to try to help. So.
We are back. You are listening to WFOY 102.1 FM, 1240 AM. You could be on our website at 1021news.com, or you could be watching and listening on our Facebook page, which is WFOY Radio St. Augustine. And my thanks to Sheriff Rob Hardwick. I know what busy man he is, but he took the time to come in studio this morning on his way to another meeting, just to talk about e-bike safety and all the things that are being put in place and have been put in place to help protect our kids. And one of the people working with him is Clay Murphy, who is the chair of our St. John's County Board of County Commissioners. Phew.
Woohoo! That's a mouthful, isn't it?
It is. So
I usually have to have that written down for me.
Well, I usually do too, but I don't.
Let me, Susan, if you don't mind, let me just talk a little bit about the e-bike safety and what's going on. Dylan Rumreld and their chief of police over on the beach had a town hall meeting last night at their city hall. It was well attended. The chief, the assistant chief, Commissioner Rumreld, the chairman, Beth Sweeney, who's doing a great job over there, the vice chair, Jenny Morgan, Commissioner Taylor from our board was there. There was a lot of people that showed up to talk about e-bike safety. And one of the things that they did a great job of explaining what the law is now, what the requirements are now, and what they're doing, what the steps they're taking, the stats that they have at the beach, and how that affects people. And so I just kind of wanted to run through a couple things for our listenings. Florida Statute 316-50655 is the electric bike regulations that's law now. It says an operator of an electric bicycle shall be afforded all the rights and privileges and be subject to all duties of a bicycle operator. So if it's classified as an e-bike, which has to have pedals, it can't go over 22 miles an hour. Those are, and they have to be under a certain wattage. Those are classified as e-bikes and have to be, the rules apply the same as a bicycle. Now, when you go up in class, when you go to class C, which is a motorcycle, it's an electric motorcycle, those laws don't come into play anymore. Now they have to be ridden like a motorcycle.
Okay, so different
they have
levels.
to have a license. They have to have a motorcycle safety class. They have to have an endorsement on their driver's license. They have to have all the equipment, the lights, the tail lights, the tag, the turn signals, all that has to be. If they don't have it, then it's not legal to ride on the road. And if it's an e-motorcycle, it has to be driven like a regular motorcycle. The laws are pertain. It doesn't mean that they can't go off into the dirt somewhere, but it means that when they're traveling from point A to point B, they don't ride. They're not supposed to ride on the sidewalks. They're not supposed to ride in the bike lanes. They're supposed to ride like a motorcycle. So there's a huge difference.
So then, are there age restrictions on each classification of e-bikes? Like, can an 11-year-old get a e-motorcycle?
No. Well,
So there's age.
Okay. So there's a gray area there because someone who's 11 can ride an e-motorcycle off the road, like for a regular track that's designed for like PAX tracks down in, that's for motorcycles to ride. They can do that, but they can't come to the road with it
So
legally because if it's a motorcycle, they have to have a license, they have to have an endorsement, and then they have to follow all the rules of a motorcycle.
unless it's off-road only.
Unless it's off-road only. If it's off-road only, then they can't ride on the road.
Okay.
So kids have been riding dirt bikes as young as 2 and 3 years old for years. I mean, some people raise their children on the dirt track every Saturday at the dirt track ride. So it's being when you interfere with traffic, the rules change. So you have to do that. Bicycle regulations, and I want to say Florida Statute 316-2065. Every person propelling a vehicle by human power has all the rights and all the duties applicable to the driver of any other vehicle. On the bicycle regulations, under 16 must wear a helmet, must stop at stop signs and red lights, must ride with the flow of traffic, ride on the right side of the road. I think the law says that if you're driving slower than the normal flow of traffic, drive as near as practicable to the far right-hand side of the road. So you can't ride in the middle of the lane. You got to ride to the right side. Headlights and taillights are required after dark, and no headphones or earbuds. And that's the law now.
Now, will people get ticketed for that?
They can, yeah. And here again, we go back to the tickets. Florida statute says that if you're underage and you get a moving violation and you accumulate points on your driver's license, they would generate one for you if you don't have one. Then you cannot then go and test and get your license at 16. You have to have a suspension. You may even have to have a hearing. So going out and writing a bunch of tickets to a bunch of kids can be counterproductive and can have lasting repercussions on their ability to drive later on. So you kind of want to. It's a balance in there. You really want to get in there and you really want to make an impression on kids through enforcement, but you don't want to drop the hammer on them because it's kids. They just even though I'm old, I remember when I was that age, and the only thing we wanted to do is go fast. We wanted to jump things and don't ask me why.
It's a really fine line there between enforcement and just really adversely affecting someone.
Yeah, there's a Goldilocks and the Three Bears. There's too hot, too cold, and then there's just right. And finding that balance is something that I think law enforcement does a good job in St. Johns County doing.
Oh, I think we do.
Of fighting that balance.
County, yeah.
Okay, let's talk about the new HB 243, which is going through legislation now, if passed.
And that's the one that sheriff is working on
with Rep. Kendall, who is she's a standard bearer. She is a flag bearer. She's picked this up and she's run with it, and it's really, really. We're blessed to have her in office. Let's just put it that way here in St. Johns County. And
we've got just maybe a minute, so maybe we can do a little intro and then we'll come back.
Yep. Real quick, just to let you know that House Bill 243 allows for improved crash data tracking, and that's something we'll talk about. Stricter penalties for illegal modifications. They're adding a new Class 3 category for speeds over 28, so you can ride it over 28, but you will have to follow new regulations. You have to have a driver's license. There's some stuff to do with that. Class 3 bikes require driver's license and driver education course update. If it's categorized as a e-motorcycle, then you have to have a motorcycle class, a 12-hour class where you have 4 hours in the classroom and 8 hours on the track riding a motorcycle before you can get an endorsement that you then take to the driver's license office and have them put that endorsement on your driver's license. You'll have to have one of those if it's an e-motorcycle.
Okay. Excuse me. I just want to go through those first two. What first two did you mention? That
Improved crash data tracking,
Yes.
which is important. What the sheriff was talking about when he's talking about disposition codes.
and we're going to talk about this further when we come back.
We'll talk about it.
Yeah, that's really important, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah,
getting good data is important. So what he's talking about with a disposition code is they dispose of a call when a call is assigned to someone or is generated by a traffic stop. They put a disposition number. They have a number that's assigned to this traffic stop. All the information about the traffic stop is based upon this traffic stop, this case number, if you will. When they clear this call, when they're done with it, they have to advise dispatch what their disposition is. What did they do? What did they encounter? And they have to do that, and it's called a disposition code. So you would give a disposition code of traffic stop, written warning issued on an e-bike. And they have categories that they would, or drop-down boxes. They would click in, they would say, all right, this particular number got a traffic stop, a written warning, and it was on an e-bike. Well, we haven't been able to capture the difference between a car and a motorcycle and a bicycle and to add e-bikes. Now, the state of Florida and the reporting agencies are doing that on their own, but it's not statutorily mandated yet. And this will actually mandate that departments capture that data. They add that extra list on the drop-down box to be able to incorporate that data. So we would get good data about, because the sheriff is here and out of 50-something thousand kids, the literal numbers of crashes that we've had is very minor. It's very small. We're very blessed, but any crash is important, and we need to look at the data and see what we can do to help try to eliminate that.
And I noticed in the data when it says, serious crashes, what defines serious? Are there different definitions for?
Yes. Yeah. Serious bodily injury. And what that's categorized is as if the ambulance has to come and pick you up and take you to the hospital, it's going to be categorized as serious bodily injury. If they come up and they put a Band-Aid on your arm and let you go, that's not serious bodily injury.
And so they do differentiate.
They do. Yeah.
According to injury level.
Right. And that will determine whether or not you can use a short form crash report or you have to do what's called a long form crash report. A long form crash report is if there's a crime involved or a serious bodily injury or fatality, you have to do a long form report. And that just adds more data to it. It adds a diagram component where you actually draw the roads and you draw the movements of the vehicles on a piece of paper. Transitioning from hand drawing, which, as someone who was, I'm a closet architect. I love lines and intersections and stuff like that. So I used to hand draw all my reports for, 20 years. I would hand draw these reports. And I worked, 4 or 5 crashes a day for 20 years. It's something I really enjoyed doing, putting the pieces together and figuring out what happened and making a determination was fun. How much time we got?
We should really, we're not back just yet, but we should really talk about your background, because just a little bit when we come back, because I don't think people really, a lot of people do, but some people don't know that you were in law enforcement for a long time.
Making that transition to writing a diagram on a computer, in some ways it was easier because the intersections, they actually had the intersections already in there. You just drop an intersection in and put where the car's moving. I enjoyed it.
And we are back. You're listening to WFOY 102.1 FM, 1240 AM. You could possibly be on our website at 1021news.com, or you could be watching and listening on our Facebook page, which is WFOY Radio St. Augustine. I do apologize. There are comments that I have not been able to get to yet, but I will do that at some point. If you have a question, we will get answers for you. It will live up on our website over the weekend, so we will get to all of you if we don't do it on the air. And we're talking about e-bike safety with County Commissioner and Chair Clay Murphy, and if you just wouldn't mind giving a little background, because you were in law enforcement for quite a while, and a lot of people do know, but a lot of our listeners may not.
Yeah, I started my career as a dispatcher in Palatka in 1979. So I went to the sheriff's office in Jacksonville, JSO, as a communications specialist for a couple of years, and then in '82 I joined the Highway Patrol. They were wonderful. They said, "You're going to Miami." This was back during the Mariel boat crisis and the Liberty City riots and the Overtown riots, and so they said, "Pack your bags, Palatka boy. You're going to Miami." So I went down to Miami for about 9 years, and
wow. That long.
And I had a blast. I say that I was a DUI specialist. I was an instructor. I got to ride motors for 6 years down there. Yeah, I think, one of the biggest thrills for me was getting to escort Ronald Reagan. I got to escort Reagan back in the 80s when he came to Miami. Yeah, it was really cool. But I escorted him, Bush 41 and Clinton and Bush 43. During my career, I got to escort Sarah Palin when she was running for president or vice president. But yeah, it was a lot of fun. I got to do a lot of fun things. I ended up transferring back here in '91. So I've been here, almost 35 years. Got my pilot's license. I was the bear in the air for about 5 years. People go, "Can you clock cars from the air?" Yes, you can. Did it about 5 years, had a blast, and then went back to motors and retired off of motor in Jacksonville.
And now you are in business in St. Johns County.
Yep, retired, and my wife and I bought into the franchise and into the Sonny's Barbecue here.
Yeah.
In 2008, and then in 2015 we bought our partners out, and so it's been an interesting, going through COVID with a restaurant that didn't have drive-thrus in it was. That was probably one of the biggest challenges of our lives. I don't think I ever worked that hard in my life, except for maybe now.
Right.
But having to do everything, having to cook, wash dishes, clean up, deliver food. COVID was tough.
Yeah.
So. Anyway.
And then you jumped right into
running politics. Yeah, running politics. It's like I'm still catching my breath. I'm still getting my feet under me. I've probably made a lot of rookie mistakes, and I hope people don't expect me to be perfect, because I'm not going to be perfect. I'm going to make a mistake every now and then. But I'm okay with you calling me on the phone or send me an email and saying, "Hey, I didn't like this, and here's why," and then we can have a conversation about the decisions that are made. One of the things that I was really surprised about was, coming into the commission is, we make decisions that can affect people for generations, and it's a huge responsibility, and I don't take it lightly. I really do my homework. I work really hard on getting all the facts from all sides, and I pray to my God for wisdom, and thank you, Jesus, for that, because that allows me to sleep at night. I know that whatever decision I make, I know that it's with peace, because I turned it over to God. I said, "Listen, I'm just an old country boy from Palatka. Don't expect me to know everything. I don't, but I know somebody who does, and so that's who I pray to." So.
Okay, thank you for that background, little snapshot. So we have about 5-6 minutes left, so let's get to the end of the e-bike. Were there other things that you wanted to focus on the e-bike situation? I have a few questions. Normally I ask for input, but this was, but I didn't do that this time, because between you and the sheriff, you could talk for hours with no questions.
We really could.
So I didn't bring any more questions. I just have a few that people had sent in. So do you want to go with these and see what's up?
Go with them.
All right. Are private schools required to bring the same programs that you have in place in our public schools?
That is a great question that I don't know the answer to, but I will find out before lunchtime.
Let's see. And I think you and the sheriff addressed this one, but it does speak to, the bill that is creating a task force. And we just talked about that, data analyzation. And this person feels like most people are a little tired of task forces. and they just want something done because they
Yeah.
don't see the
They don't see the
platform
results.
behind getting
Yeah.
something done.
Yeah, well, I'm going to touch base on this again, but we've talked about it. I was given direction at a Board of County Commissioners meeting to go in and to look at our e-bike safety program. The first thing I did was I called the sheriff and I called some friends of mine who are working under contract with DOT at the University of South Florida they do motorcycle safety awareness. And it felt like a really good fit. So we partnered with them and met a lot last summer about trying to put something together that we could use. And the sheriff came in and said, look, we'll write the curriculum. Dr. Asplund had just taken over, and he came in, he sat down with us. He says, we'll make sure Paul Abitinoza, Miss Upchurch, they came in and they huddled around us and they said, "What do you need?" And we just needed time. They have strict mandates about hourly courses and how they have to do that. And they set up a whole curriculum throughout the year, and they went in there and blew that up for us so that we could get this mandatory safety class in our middle schools. We thought, okay, we'll start with 6th, 7th, and 8th grade, and then we'll do 6th grade from there on out. That way, everybody's going to get it eventually. 4 years, everybody will have it from 6th grade all the way through. And they took the ball and ran with it. And the sheriff gave me a lot of credit, but I just, my credit goes to me just getting out of the way. I might have tipped the ball, rolling down the hill at the beginning, but then I got out of the way, and they ran with it. They did all the work. And so we were able to partner. The fact that we worked so well with the school board, I talked about it before, the community meetings with Commissioner Rumbrell from the beach and the mayor over there, Beth Sweeney. They're just, everybody's on the same page. Everybody's working hard to try to make this the best place that we can. And I say this a lot. I know it's a cliche, but it's true. We live in the best county, in the best state, and the best nation in the world today. There's no other place I'd rather be living than St. Johns County, and we are so blessed to have the amenities we have. Someone explained it to me like this. They said we have city amenities on county prices, and I was like, what do you mean by that? He said, well, when I was growing up, if you went into the city, you had garbage pickup, and you had the police force, and you had all these amenities. They call them city amenities, but you paid an extra tax for it. We here in this county, we have city amenities, but we have on a county budget.
Yeah.
And so we are really blessed in this county. Yes, are there challenges? Yes. Are we? When I came in as chair, I sat down and I wrote down on my paper what the priorities were going to be. And number one on the priority was cut taxes. We have to get the rollback. First thing I told our administrator, tighten your belt. We have to get the rollback. Here's some of the challenges that we face on a local level is the state is preempting our ability to make decisions. And I think a lot of it is based on the fact that we aren't doing a good job as commission. We're not doing a good job of getting out ahead of things, like the budget.
Mm-hmm.
We were in Tallahassee a couple weeks ago at St. Johns County Day. What a great time. Well, visitors get introduced to the house, and one of the visitors introduced his local county commissioner from the county, and it was bragging about the fact that under her leadership, they had reached a rollback for the past 4 years in a row, and I don't have time to explain what the rollback is, but then she reaches her hand down and she goes like this. 5 years in a row, they've been able to reach rollback, which means that the taxes have stayed the same. Your coverage, your services continue to grow, but the taxes you pay stayed the same for 5 years in a row, and that's responsible government to me, and that's what I want to try to do here.
And so that's kind of a goal. And we have not very many seconds left. I just want to say that the commission meetings are now live streamed.
Live stream.
On the commission Facebook or web page.
Yep.
Right?
It's also on GTV.
Real time. Yep.
Yeah. You can watch the exciting,
Well, they are
the
sometimes.
thrilling meetings real time now. So
Thank you so much, Commissioner, for being with
thank you,
us.
Susan. All right.
Hang on, I have to turn this one.
I don't know. That might be the most fun.
Well, let me finish this up.